Welcome to the Purpose Podcast. My name is Rachel Stevens, and I'm here with my husband, Zach. Nice. And our acquaintance, because you've been demoted, Pastor Steve Kerr. And we are here just to help you walk in your purpose, which we believe is to win the world. And we are really grateful that you've chosen to take time to invest in yourself today and to maybe learn something new, but to really just think on some amazing things this holiday season. This is going to be a really special time together.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you can tell there's a real vibe at the table. Real vibe
it's intense.
at the table.
This is intense.
Yeah,
Listen, the world needs to know what we're talking about
today. And Rachel's me and Pastor Steve obviously are normal, but you know how Rachel gets on these podcasts.
Sometimes.
So let's talk about Christmas. I didn't have a song prepared.
I realized that there's so many Christmas songs, and I just sang Christmas like nothing.
It's like Anyway, okay, moving on.
What are you doing?
There's a song.
The one from New Girl?
Yeah.
And you can't think of any of it?
I can't think of any
Me
of
neither.
it. Okay, too hard. Hey, let's talk about your most epic Christmas fail.
Epic Christmas fail. I think I should go last because I've got a good one.
Let me do Zach's.
What?
Not that one, but I have one. It's our most epic Christmas fail,
Yeah,
but really it's just
multiples.
throwing Zach under the bus.
Every year there's a new one.
Yeah, we're not
Zach's
doing one about
first year as a student pastor
Oh gosh.
was memorable.
I stand
Tell
by
me
this.
more.
There were some things that we're grateful for forgiveness. And one Christmas season, Zach was teaching and
The word of the Lord
mentioned in passing that Santa Claus was not alive.
I said he wasn't real.
He said he wasn't real. And people in the room did not know that.
Gasped.
They were
Couldn't believe it.
What?
How dare you?
There happened to be some what were they, in fourth grade?
Yeah, there were some young people in there.
That were sitting in the back.
There's some people who are going to be listening to the podcast who were
in there. You know
there.
who you are.
Did we give a disclaimer
before?
Like, what if little Timmy's listening right now?
Hey, if
So
your kid's
sorry,
listening,
Timmy.
we're going to say that, hey, we were just joking, Timmy. Wink, wink. Here's what happened. I said that, and then my campus pastor, my boss, is give me the business after the sermon, and I think he's joking. So I'm laughing in his face. And then I look past him. Because you could tell like he doesn't fully mean it, but he's mad at me. And it was hard to read. So I'm laughing at him, and I look past him, and there's Jason Lee Hines, who's some of our best friends.
Jason still believed in Santa Claus.
Well,
my word.
His daughter's
11
in the
years
room.
later, we're still friends.
His daughter's in the room, and she was in like third grade or something like that. Well, that's when she found out that Santa wasn't real.
When you told her.
When I told her.
From stage.
At
students. You are a heathen.
So, yeah, it was not
We questioned
The
Zach's
Zach
salvation.
that stole Christmas.
The Zach that stole Christmas. Do you have a Christmas fail?
I have several.
Give us one.
Your most epic.
Okay, most epic that I'm willing to share. My first attempt at dressing up like Santa Claus.
So there's been multiple of those.
Sir, at the church, right? Student pastor, kind of like yourself, right? Except I figured, hey, Santa's obviously real, and I'm going all in as a stunt double. Unfortunately, the notion of trying the suit on before walking out on the stage did not cross my mind. So as I walked out, I tripped and fell. And it wasn't just like a stumble fall. It was I fell off the stage.
No.
And so the recovery took about 20 minutes. And it literally cost me like 10 years later for people to stop reminding me of that.
Amazing.
And it hurt.
Did you fall, like when you fell, did you catch yourself? Or was it just like your
Here's
face
the
to
thing.
the ground? Like a full 2-year-old fall.
I'm good at a lot of things. I am not an athlete. And so balance, coordination, phones dropping at the worst possible time. That's me. And so, no, it was, you heard the whole thing. I was mic'd up. You heard the, the whole thing. No potty language.
Amazing.
Thank you, Lord. But it hurt. It cost something. So there's one. I could keep going, but we'll leave it there.
Amazing. Well,
can you make those noises?
I don't remember. This is like 2 years ago, the onesie.
I think it's 3. This Christmas
So
would be 3 years.
my mom she's like a Christmas extraordinaire. So she makes these stockings for everybody, and she piles a stocking full of stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
not a stocking,
there's
it's a
stuff
pile.
around this. There's just a pile of stuff, right? Well, she likes to get me and my brother Micah. She likes to give us onesies, like goofy onesies. Well, me and Mike are looking at our onesies, and like those old T-shirts of like wolves. Yeah. Well, mine is like a big wolf's face, and it looks so like goofy. I can't wait, but it's supposed to be for real, but it's going to be goofy. Well, I start to open it, and she got it from some like
an Instagram ad.
Yeah, but some backdoor Chinese website.
Yes.
And so it's a China large, and so I realize
Which is an American medium.
I've taken my sweatpants off and my shirt. I'm in my undies in the living room putting this on, and I realize when I'm pulling it up my legs that this is something's askew.
Oh no!
Because I'm pulling it up and I'm out of stuff to pull up, and it's coming up my calves. So so I wear this thing the whole time. It's ripping around me, but awesome.
Rachel, you were there for that.
Oh, I was there.
She remembers it fondly.
You were married?
Yes.
Oh, very married.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Very married.
At that point, you started to question.
She started thinking,
I said,
she texted me and said, wear it later.
Wow.
And we'll move on. All right. So another question that people have, and you may think it's a joke, you may think it's for realsies, but let's talk about it. How do we feel about Santa Claus and Elf on the Shelf? Is that sacrilegious? How do we view that? Rachel, why don't you start us out?
I have some strong opinions.
Strong opinions. Let's keep it brief. Let's not soapbox this. Sir. I'm not saying don't explain it, but we only have so long.
Okay. Well, I am great with Elf on the Shelf. It's fun.
It's awesome.
And our elf doesn't do a ton of terrible things, but it's really fun. And sometimes I forget and I just tell our kids.
That's hilarious.
Oh, the elf must have slept in today.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I do it while
she'll ask me to go distract the kid.
That's the thing I do. I'm like, go keep the kids until I can make our elf do something.
Wait, hold on. Zach, you don't pose the elf?
Sometimes. When Rachel tells me to.
So you do what she tells you
Yes.
to do. It's fair.
And
Go
sometimes
ahead.
like they come up with ideas that they think our elf should do.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's very like, it's not like, hey, the elf is this big secret. It's not like a big secret. It's just like, hey, our elf does stuff. Yeah. And JL like asked me.
Snowflake.
Oh. And Snowflake is just very fun. And JL is aware. She figured out like first grade.
JL is 8.
Yeah. Yeah. So her first grade Christmas, because it was our first Christmas when we stayed at your parents' that year. And she was like, hey, do you do the elf? I said, I do. Do you want to help? And then, so that was it. Like the conversation was, we do the elf together. This is a fun thing that we do. She's like, no, I want to see what happens tomorrow. And so she gets to be a part of it if she wants to. Now Santa.
River is unaware. He'll probably catch on about 23.
Yeah.
My buddy, man.
But as soon as the conversation is just, oh, I do the elf. Now, I never say like the elf has special Christmas magic or anything. I'm pretty particular about my language.
Be from the devil, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
Like Harry Potter.
Like Harry Potter. I
It's
love
demonic.
Harry Potter.
It's so weird how we do those things, isn't it?
Anyway.
Santa.
So
what do you think about Santa?
Here is my feelings about Santa. I gave you your gifts. I am not giving Santa the credit for my effort, energy, time. Do you know how much effort and energy and time it is to find that specific? Sometimes a present, you got to go to the store all the time to get it in person. Or if you want the sale, sometimes Target will run a sale, but you have to get it only in the store. Did you know that? Yeah. And sometimes people aren't there.
Did you know that?
Santa's not taking your street cred. That's
no,
yours.
it's mine. And so we are very honest about Santa. We love Santa. We take pictures with Santa because we like to celebrate.
Are you mean mugging Santa while the pictures are being
No,
taken?
but I should start doing that. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Just giving them the dirtiest
Oh,
look.
yeah. But we do, we talk about how Santa was awesome because Santa was so generous. Santa loved God. He was a real person. And then he no longer is living and
dead.
What do you mean by that?
He's dead.
Rachel?
And
our kids say
Timmy, turn away.
Dead.
Turn away, Timmy.
River did literally say, this is probably my most epic Christmas fail, is he told somebody, he's like, oh, Santa, he's dead. And so they
Mommy
know
says
he was
he's dead.
generous.
Wow.
He was generous. He saw a need. He met a need. He loved people. He discovered his purpose. He won his world. And then he died. And we celebrate that spirit of generosity.
It is
at Christmas
amazing
time.
to tell this Christmas that part of the Christmas story.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I just don't want him to take my credit.
Yes.
I don't really, people can do it, but it's a whole big charade to keep up for somebody else to get all of the.
Oh my gosh! What
All the
do you guys
glory.
have a family opinion around the?
Yeah, we elf on the shelf. We do.
Were you
I
going to say
enjoy it.
elf and shelf?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm going to be honest. I do not recall his name right now, but he shows up. And
Does he ever get quarantined?
He has been.
That was
yes.
awesome.
He had the flu for 3 days.
Yeah. It's my favorite.
We may have lost him once as well. Anyways, moving on, Rachel. So we recently just picked up a little package, like a little box set where you could do like several different things with him. And I wanted to get it. Marcy was like, I'm not getting it. I was like, please, like, just let me get it. And she's like, fine, it's one of your Christmas presents then. Whatever the price I have to pay for my kids. But Elf on the Shelf, it's fun. I think that kind of stuff helps foster creativity in a child's mind, right? Like
Right.
the imagination aspect of it. With Santa, Rachel, very similar. We take the approach that, Santa Claus was a real man who lived, and because of the joy that he found in Christ, he wants to share that joy. And so we celebrate Jesus. We don't celebrate Santa Claus. Santa Claus is symbolic of the celebration of Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we articulate it in that way. And with the gifts, we do Santa gifts and we do parent gifts. And so Santa gifts don't get wrapped. Parent gifts get wrapped. And so they'll find some of the
How good is Santa's gift?
less costly.
He gets like a Dollar Tree gift.
Five Below. Shout out Five Below. We are not sponsored, but if you're looking to sponsor a podcast, no, that is generally the way that we work. But again, we really prioritize and emphasize that Christmas is about celebrating Emmanuel, Christ with us, right?
Yeah.
So that's our approach.
That's good. I am indifferent. So,
Hey, can I really? This is but for real. What? Because there are people who have disagree with indifference or bringing that into Christmas at all.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
they were upset that Santa would be brought in at all, or Elf on the Shelf would be brought in at all.
Yeah, who may say, hey, like that's not what the season is about. It's dishonoring to the Lord. How would you handle that?
Well, here's what
a good question.
I think it'd be great because it goes with my first answer to the big question for the day, which is how can we celebrate Jesus in the Advent season? Because there's so much, even when you think about Advent, the first thing that comes to my mind anyway is the Advent calendars, where the kids want to punch out the chocolate, which is a terrible, like
chocolate.
how it works out. Because you usually do a calendar in the morning and they want the chocolate out of that in the morning. But either way, different topic. But for me, actually, you made a joke. For me, somebody asked me literally yesterday about how we feel about Harry Potter and all that kind of stuff, it's witchcraft, all that jazz. And what I would tell you is what we're talking about is we're talking about this really niche, small part. So you talk about like Elf on the Shelf. So Elf on the Shelf will last for 3 to 5 minutes of the day.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You talk about something like Harry Potter, which is 2 hours or whatever of, I think it's 168 hours you have in a week. Or you talk about Santa Claus. And I think what we lose, because unfortunately Christians can be so known for what we're against rather than what we're for. And again, I tell you, I say all this to say, I really think you'd be pretty hard pressed to say, hey, biblically, this is why we shouldn't do that. But we make such a big deal out of Jesus in the season when these little niche fun things are had. There's no question for our kids. There's no question for our neighbors. There's no question in our heart what we're doing, like what it's about. And so like even going to the question, like how can I celebrate Jesus in the Advent season? I would say make it fun. Nehemiah 8:10 says the joy of the Lord is our strength. Amen. And there's some ways that I can do that. I want us to talk about that a little bit. But again, whenever it comes to, hey, is it sacrilegious? Saint Nick is a Christian figure. You can look it up. It's historical.
That's right.
There's no question about that. But then you talk about something like Elf on the Shelf. I mean, again, if you get into like teaching your kid, hey, there's magic to this and all that kind of stuff. Again, I would say it's just more weird than it is sacrilegious, to be super candid with you. But again, my challenge to you would be making it such a big deal that we celebrate Jesus in the season. Actually, if you're going to make me challenge you, I think that Christmas presents probably get more in the way of celebrating Jesus than Elf on the Shelf.
Boy.
And so I would just be careful.
Not the presents you give me.
Obviously not the presents I get you.
That's
No,
right.
obviously not.
Right.
Doesn't like it in the
Because
way.
you already bought her a present for Christmas
Well,
this
dude,
year.
I've crushed Christmas.
Oh,
We'll see.
I've crushed it.
fancy.
Check us out in January. We'll see. how
I've
it is.
crushed it.
Podcast
See, either way. Okay. So the question is, how can we celebrate Jesus in the Advent season? So, so making it fun would be one of my answers to that. How would you say we can celebrate Jesus in this Advent season?
What always comes to my mind, and you've always done such a good job of talking about and referencing how God has asked us not to call the sacred common. So when we think about things like Elf on the Shelf and Santa and all, it's so common.
Yeah.
It's marketed everywhere.
Hallmark everything.
And it's all, and that's great. But when you talk about Jesus and like the resurrection and communion and the Christmas story, it is so unique and special. There's nothing else like it. And I love how you're just talking about like, hey, this is such a big deal, the uniqueness of Jesus, that it's not common. So I think the posture in which we carry the things of Christ, even like how we talk about, even Elf on the Shelf or whatever, like, hey, this is great and it's fun, but our hearts so long for the sacred that when we participate in the things of God, it makes a greater impact on us, on the people around us.
Yeah, and let me remind you, because what Rachel's saying is correct. This is sacred. It should be fun. If you look biblically, they had to pull kids off of Jesus. They had to say, hey, he doesn't have time for this, which Jesus rebuked them for that. Jesus was not some weird, like, sheltered, holy robe guy. He was a blast. I remember growing up, whenever my mama and papa would read the Christmas story out of Luke, and all the kids would pick a character to be. We were sheep. There's Mary and Joseph. There were shepherds. There were wise men. There were cows. There were stars. And we're just
Which one were you using?
I don't want to talk about it. It depended on different seasons. There were cow seasons. There were shepherd seasons. More cow seasons. We won't talk about that.
Yes.
But what I will tell you is it was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
That's right.
And so it is sacred. But just parents, can I encourage you? This is not a moment where it's like, okay, now it's time for the Christmas story. You sit there, you don't say a word, you don't ask a question. This is a moment where, if we get the opportunity to set in this season how people feel about Jesus, and Jesus was fun. Yeah. And this moment where he shoved all of his glory into a baby, there's time to say, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
But what are some ways that you guys celebrate Jesus in this season?
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great question. And I just had a thought as you were both articulating, the magic of an elf or what have you. I think that as not only a young believer, but also being a dad and helping my sons or hosting my children through the worship of God during the Advent season and Christmas, like, no matter what we've ever done or they've ever watched on TV, what movie, Elf on the Shelf, whatever, when we have worshiped God together as a family, when we have sung worship songs, when we've served people, those are the things that my boys, 6 and 8 years old, those are the things they talk about the next year, right? Because they're sacred. Right? Yeah. It's sacred. And so my wife is amazing. Marcy does some amazing things. 2 things she does every year is, one, she makes time to make a cake for Jesus with the boys. Amen. And what happens is she fosters conversation with them about what it means that Christ came to earth, right? The gift of Christ being at earth. And so it's not just having the cake of celebration, it's also the time she invests with the boys in making the cake, that they get to be part of God's plan of reconciliation to the earth, right? Yeah. The other thing is that my wife, I love her and she knows how to bake. I don't. Marcy, keep baking those chocolate chip cookies, the unhealthy ones. But she makes cookies for our neighbors. Her and the boys will make cookies for the neighbors every year, and then she will take the boys and they will take them to the neighbors. Yeah. And I think how amazing is that they get to see in a very practical way of sharing joy with a neighbor, sharing joy with somebody else during that season. So that's 2 ways we do it.
Yeah, I love that. Is there anything else you want to add to that, how we celebrate them?
Well, I just think it's helpful. You said, you can share joy. This is literally a season where people receive like from you.
Amen.
So if you're going to give, this isn't one of those like, hey, I think Easter or seasons, like even if you're like summer or whatever, it's a little more difficult to get face-to-face time, but people are expecting, the vast majority of them, it is the holiday season. You know, you're expecting Christmas cards to come in the mail. Even if people don't believe Jesus, they're still sending out Christmas cards.
That's right.
And there is an association with this sacred thing, and so you have an opportunity to represent like the grace and the mercy of God, especially with people, they don't know Jesus. Yeah. Our expectations should not be that people who don't know Jesus elevate the word of God and Jesus coming to earth. Like they don't know him. They don't serve him or follow him. So I love that she does that. And it's something that we like to do too, is take things and have them see us face to face. And there's a willingness, there's more of an openness to receive in the season.
That's good.
That's good. Really practically, because we've shared some things, really practically, we'll read the Christmas story.
That's right.
And we'll do it, a lot of times we'll do it out of JL's Bible. What kind of, is that the?
Sarah Young's.
That, or the Jesus Calling Bible, right there on their level. And so we love doing that.
And now that JL can read, this year I think she will read the story.
Yes.
So she's got a good flow to her now. She's starting to read really well.
So I tried something last night in preparation for this podcast so that I could hopefully encourage you if it worked, and it worked. So usually we do Bible time at night. So we do the kids YouVersion deal, which is more for River and Val. They can push stuff. But also on like the adult YouVersion, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a kids experience. It's really good. So that's how we do Bible time every night. Well, last night I put them on their bed. And I sang them there. They all have an individual song, so I sing them their songs, which is crazy because Rachel can sing. JL's is L is the way you look at me. So
L-O-V.
Yeah, awesome, it's beautiful.
Can we get just a line?
Huh?
Sing it for her.
Yeah.
Just start it.
Which one? We go L is for the way you look, and then I go through all. And the Rivers is I may never march in the infantry. I'm usually pounding on them while I do that.
I love
and then Valor's, I'm holding Valor, and Valor's is. He's got the whole world, and so we do all that. But
I love that.
Okay, either way. So last night I put the big kids in their bed, and I'm holding Valor, and I sang all their songs. I'm like, okay, now it's time for Bible time.
And our kids are all in the same room right now.
Yeah, they're all in the same room. So actually, I didn't say it's Bible time. I said,
intense.
Hey, let me tell you a story, which is different because we usually do Bible time right now. I said, let me tell you a story, and they said, okay. I said, okay. There's a young lady. And then there's a young guy, and they love each other. And so JL's all in. River doesn't really care. And I said, but something crazy happened. This girl gets pregnant, but they're not married yet. And so I thought JL would be catching on that this is Mary and Joseph.
Yeah. But
I didn't use names. I was on purpose, so we're talking. And then I said, but they're not married. And then JL's like, well, what happened? And I said, well, the guy was going to break up with her.
Yeah.
He was going to, I think he was going to put her away quietly.
Yeah.
And so, but then he goes to bed and God tells him, do not break up with her. This baby, I've caused it. Can you imagine how confusing that was for him? And so I walked through this story, not using names or anything like that. Good. And it wasn't until probably like 3 or 4, and I'm holding Valor, so we're being silly. Again, it's fun.
Yeah.
But it was obviously like the YouVersion stuff that we've done, and all that stuff is better illustrated. It's got videos with it, all that kind of stuff. But JL, she's in the bunk bed, and if you're on YouTube, you can see it, but she's holding on to the edge of her bed, like looking over at me, like waiting to see what happened. And then you see it all come together when I said that, and then they decided, because I said, then they took a trip to where that guy was from, and then there wasn't any place for him to sleep.
Yeah.
And so either way, we did it. So twofold. One, mom and dad or whoever you may be in your kid's life or in your family's life, you get the opportunity to learn if you can't do that, you get the opportunity to learn the story in an amazing way, number one. But number two, you get the opportunity to show them in a way they've never heard. So you can even work in, like when I said he was going to break up with her, or I think he said he was going to put her away quietly. And then when you read in Luke, they'll hear Joseph was going to put Mary away quietly.
Yeah.
But it was I was sitting there trying it last night just so I could talk about it today. If it worked, I was going to tell you if it was a bust. But they were like super engaged with the story. And it can be even better. Rachel is a better storyteller than me. She would do even better with it, pull in more of the common language. But either way, that's another way we can celebrate Jesus.
He asked me this morning, why do people get pregnant?
Oh, I love that.
Oh.
I was like, to have babies.
Have babies.
Well,
wow,
That's why you get pregnant. I didn't know that's what you had done.
Man, thank you.
My bad, team.
For doing it. Can I just share a thought real quick based on what you just shared, Zach? And I just want to thank you for that because, as a student pastor, we talk about partnering with parents to disciple their students, right? And oftentimes I think that parents and adults or whatever it might be, we overcomplicate discipleship, right? And so that is a demonstration of discipling children right there, being intentional, right? And I just want to thank you for that because sowing those seeds are the things that produce fruit later on. JL, River, them sharing their faith with their friends. And that is so amazing. And if I could just offer one suggestion as we talk about Christmas to parents, and it's this: parents, don't go bankrupt trying to buy love for your child, okay? Your child, we have evidence. There is research, there is evidence out there. Your child actually desires you more than they desire an iPhone.
That's good.
Or a video game or a trip somewhere else. They really want you. They want you to listen and they want you to be present. And you did that, Zach. Thank you so much for doing that, you guys. You do that so well.
That's so good. Well, we love it and we believe in you. We believe that God has given you a purpose. And that purpose culminates in you winning your world. And so what a great time to do it. What an amazing time to be a representation of Emmanuel, God with us, with your spouse, with your kids, with your family, with your friends, with your neighbor. So we love you. Win your world this week. We'll see you next week.